Ohai. Eritrea, the state in East Africa on the coast of the Red Sea near the Horn of Africa. The capital and the largest city, Asmara. Borders on Sudan in the west, Ethiopia in the south and Djibouti in the east. Has the area of 117,600 km. Eritrea is the multinational country with the population approximately in 6 million people consisting of 9 recognized ethnic groups. Most of the population, the people make Tigray. 55% of the population. And a Tiger. 30% of the population. Besides, there is a number of ethnic minorities. Most of people in the territory adhere to Christianity or Islam. Modern Eritrea was created by inclusion of independent, certain kingdoms and sultanates. For example, Medri Baker. English. Russian and Alsa. English. Russian. That eventually led to formation of the Italian Eritrea. In 1947 Eritrea became a part of Federation of Ethiopia and Eritrea liquidated in 1962. Following the results of the War of Independence of Eritrea in April 1993, the referendum on which 83% of citizens supported independence of Eritrea was held. Military operations between Eritrea and Ethiopia remained that led to Ethiopian-Eritrean conflict of 1998-2000 and the subsequent skirmishes with Djibouti and Ethiopia. Eritrea is the one-party state in which national legislative elections were repeatedly transferred. According to Human Rights Watch, human rights organization, the Eritrean government is considered one of the worst in the world. The Eritrean government called these charges politicized. Because of obligatory military service on which citizens are called for an indefinite term, some Eritreans leave the country. As all local Massachusetts media belong to the state, Eritrea is also estimated as the state with the smallest level of freedom of the press in the Index of Freedom of the Press. Eritrea is a member of the African Union, United Nations, and MOVER. English. Russian is also the observer in League of Arab States along with Brazil, Venezuela, India and Turkey. The toponym Eritrea existed still in the ancient time, then it belonged to the coast of the Red Sea in understanding ancient, that is including coast of the Arabian Sea and the Persian Gulf. As the name of the state education, it is used by Italy in 1890 for the colony, the Italian Eritrea. The state formed in 1993 inherited this name. The etymology, apparently, goes back to the Latin name of the Red Sea. Though there is a point of view that can come also from color of the soil. The territory of Eritrea was a part of the Axum Kingdom, and after the Ethiopian state. In the 16th century the Mossoul port gets under the power of the Ottoman Empire, and in 1868 the Turkish Sultan transfers control of him to Egypt. Since 1882 colonization by Italy. The ports of Assab and Mossoul began. Since January 1, 1890, the colony Eritrea. From the name of the Red Sea in Greek, is proclaimed. In 1895 the First Italo-Ethiopian War, which ended in 1896 with the peace treaty which defined borders of colony, began. Eritrea was under the Italian board before defeat of Italians in Ethiopia, Somalia and Eritrea from forces of Great Britain during World War II, spring of 1941. After that she was operated by the British military authorities till 1952 when entered into Federation of Ethiopia and Eritrea. In 1962 the Emperor of Ethiopia Haile Selassie abolished federal structure of the country, then considerably strengthened separatist tendencies in the region. The previous year the group of Eritrean nationalists led by Hamid Abaid began the War of Independence of Eritrea, continuing with different intensity more than 30 years, especially after seizure of power in Ethiopia by a group of officers led by Mengistu Haile Mariam. The resistance movement achieved the most considerable progress during Ogadenski War, having successfully used employment of the Ethiopian army war mined Somalia and Muslim insurgents. In the late 80s, in the conditions of a general crisis of the Ethiopian socialist state, Eritrean insurgents not only took the most part of the territory of Eritrea under the control, but also actively supported actions of insurgent Rafian, which leader was Meles Zenawi. In 1991 insurgents entered Addis Ababa, Zenawi became the president of Ethiopia, and in 2 years, after holding a referendum, independence of Eritrea was declared. Since 1993 till present the group of veterans of the War of Independence led by Isaias Afwerki, which concentrated all branches of the power in the hands, directs the country. Leaders of the country systematically reject offers on democratization of political life and elections under the pretext of weakness of an economic basis of the country and existence of other priorities. The international human rights organizations regularly criticize a situation in the country and put down low estimates of a situation with human rights, freedom of the press in Eritrea, etc. In 1995 Eritrea challenged accessory of the islands of Hanish with Yemen. As a result, between the states armed conflict in which any of the parties didn't manage to achieve military success ran high, but the diplomatic victory was rather beyond Yemen. In 1998 new war with Ethiopia because of disputed territories during which tens of thousands of soldiers on both sides died began. War led to huge economic and social shocks, having left behind the destroyed economy and also the huge mined areas of the earth. War terminated in 2000 in defeat of Eritrea and signing a peace treaty according to which have to watch peacekeeping forces of the Union observance of ceasefire. Since 2008 in the territory of Eritrea paramilitary groups of the Ethiopian anti-governmental insurgents of Jinbet 7 at the head of which costs to Berkane are based. According to the statements of the government of Somalia and regional bloc of IGAD, since 2006 Eritrea renders the active help to the Somali Islamic Courts Union and its allies. Eritrea delivered to rebels weapon and money, granted a shelter and space for political activity to Islamic fundamentalists and fighters. Eritrean volunteers were involved in the civil war in the territory Somalia. According to the government of Somalia, the main motive of such strategy is support by Ethiopia of Abdullahi Yusuf's government. However, the president Isaias Afwerki denies everything, claiming that similar charges, intrigues of the CIA agents seeking to blacken the light image of his country. From June 10 to June 13, 2008 Eritrea was at war with Djibouti. On December 23, 2009 the Union Security Council entered embargo on arms supplies into Eritrea. This decision was supported by all permanent members of the Security Council, except China, which refrained. Besides, entry into union member countries is forbidden. Eritrean leaders and their accounts in foreign banks are frozen. Support of Islamski fighters by Eritrea in Somalia and the border conflict with Djibouti was called the reason of embargo. On September 16, 2018, Eritrea signed the peace treaty with Ethiopia at a government meeting in the city of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Eritrea, the country in northeast Africa, borders on Djibouti, Ethiopia and Sudan. In the east it is washed by the Red Sea. The sea part of the territory of the country lies on the Eritrean plateau of the Ethiopian highlands. In the southeast there is a hollow afar. The area of the territory is 117.6 thousand km. Including an island part of Eritrea, about 1.3 thousand km. The capital, the city of Asmara. The rivers of Eritrea are seasonal and have no constant current, except for Tekes. Crete, the basin of Nile, the Red Sea or area of an internal drain. The largest in the country, Merab, Barakan and Saba are 4 Tekes. 2 national parks, Daklek Marin and Seminavi Bari. It is rather rich fauna and birds. Olive baboon, gazelles, ostriches, lions, elephants, big and small kudu, mountain trestle, leopards, monkeys, duiker, African warthogs, buffaloes, hippopotamuses, hyenas, porcupines, hares, boars, crocodiles, rhinoceroses, rodents, snakes, turtles, jackals, signature stamps, eagles, marabou, set of species of local and migratory birds and others. Near Dalek Archipelago there are 250 species of fish, including Mediterranean. The head of state and the government's the president. Under the constitution it has to be elected parliament for a 5-year term. Since June 1993 the president is a hierarchy. Presidential elections still weren't held, date of the next elections isn't defined. Legislature, Unicameral National Assembly -150 deputies appointed in May 1997. Elections were planned for December 2001, but then postponed for indefinite time. In Eritrea only one legal party, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice. The head is a hierarchy. Population -6.08 million. Assessment for July 2020. Annual gain -0.93%. 2020. Fertility -3.73 births only woman. 2020. Urban population -41.3%. 2020. Life expectancy is 64 years at men, 69 years at women. 2020. Contamination, a virus of an immunodeficiency. HIV -0.7%. According to 2018. Literacy -84. 4% of men. 68.9% of women. According to 2018. Ethnic structure, a Tigray of 55%, a Tiger and a Kunama of 32%, Saho of 4%, other 9%. The main languages which speak in Eritrea are Tigrinya, a Tiger, the Kunama, Blin, Inar, Saho, Afar, a Bach. Tigrinya, the Arab and English languages serve as working languages. In Eritrea there are 9 ethno-linguistic groups. According to the constitution, Eritrea has no official languages, but Tigrinya and Arabic the most used. Orthodox Church and the Mariam. In the foreground, Catholic Cathedral and the Mosque Labama Hulith Labama Rashidun. On a background at the left and on the right respectively. In the capital of Asmara. Religions: Islam of 50%, Christianity a Chalcedonida of 30%, Catholics of 13%, Protestants of 5%. Under the Constitution of 1997 in the country religious freedom has to be guaranteed, however in 2002 the government demanded registration of religious groups and under the pretext of registration outlawed all religions, except for main Islam, the Eritrean Orthodox Tewahedo Church, Evangelic, Lutheran Church of Eritrea and the Roman Catholic Church. Numerous other groups, including Pentecostals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Orthodox Reformists, began to be pursued, activists were banished in prisons and subjected to tortures. The inquiry economy of Eritrea is redirected here. On this subject it is necessary to create separate article. Eritrea is one of the poorest states of the world. The economic system, command type, is controlled by a ruling party. Private enterprises aren't numerous. DDD minus $4.256 billion. Assessment for 2015. DDD per capita at par purchasing power minus $1,200. Assessment for 2015, the 221st place in the world. In the basis of the economy, the agrarian sector. In 2015 the industry share in DDD made 29.4%. Commercial production of salt from seawater is adjusted. Most the enterprises of manufacturing industry, shoe, food, oil processing, textile and so forth are subject to restoration. The enterprises for processing of fish and production of meat and milk products, production of glass, soft drinks and so forth work. Cottage industry is well developed. Since 2008 mining industry develops, in particular gold mining, copper and zinc is begun. In development of mineral deposits active part is taken by foreign investors from China. The authorities of Eritrea expect that the mining industry can become one of the main sectors of national economy over time. Agriculture share in DDD minus 12.3%. 2015. 80% of the population are engaged in the agrarian sector. The country suffers an acute shortage of fertile lands, including because of intensive process of an erosion of soils. Are processed up. 5% of lands grow up bananas, potatoes, corn, sesame, seiza. Vegetables, a papaya, a millet, wheat, a sorghum, cotton, a citrus, etc. The dairy livestock production, poultry farming and also fishery develop. Catch of anchovies, a salmon, sardines, a tuna, a sea pike. The countries of the European Union and Japan provided to the country financial aid for development of fishery. Right-hand traffic. The international driving license is valid. In some areas the movement is forbidden at night. City passenger transport. Buses. Works without schedule before fulfilling of salon with passengers. There is an opportunity to lease the car. Buses go in any direction, both in the cities and between them. The taxi can be stopped in any place along the main city streets. In the taxi counters aren't used. 21% of roads of the country with a hard coating, so asphalt, are available between Karen and Tuberant. 99 km. The covering of the highways connecting Maso and Asap. 725 km. Mendafera and Barenta. 210 km. Is improved. The airports of Eritrea serve planes of 5 regional and international airlines. The national airline functions. The Eritrean airline doesn't perform regular passenger flights. In Eritrea, the number of airlines which offer the services constantly increases. Eritrean Airlines, Lufthansa, United Airlines, Saudia, Egyptair, Yemenia, British Airways. Crossing of border can take several hours. After sunset, border checkpoints are closed. When crossing border on the car from Sudan, Kassala needs the existing certificate on the property right to the car which you keep, without rent, and all, including passengers. Passports and visas have to be as it should be, and also customs declarations, if necessary. Ports and harbors Aseb, Maso serve mainly for Muslim pilgrims. Asphalt roads connect the capital of Asmara to Maso and several other country towns. Besides, there are hundreds of kilometers of the dirt roads connecting other settlements of Eritrea. It is possible to get to the country on motor transport, having driven from one of neighboring countries. Djibouti. Point of transition Raketa. Sudan. Talatashar, Sharmaka and Adabara. And theoretically, from Ethiopia, which has boundary posts in Meri Pomkea, Lemesine and Zalambezi. Asmara, Aseb, Djibouti, soil is expensive. Intensity of the movement low. For rest of tourists, beach vacation, excursion routes, safari tours. The sunk ships, caves, corals, reefs and various inhabitants of the Red Sea open fine opportunities for diving. In Eritrea the diving centers work. It is possible to reach Eritrea with change in Cairo, Amsterdam, Frankfurt am Main, Beirut, Sana, Doha, Dubai, Milan or Rome. The vast majority of historical monuments, except for Asmara, were destroyed during long war. Asmara has a tourist's reputation of one of the safest capitals on the African continent. The intense situation between Ethiopia and Eritrea resulted in a large number of checkpoints and restrictions of air travel. A temporary safety zone. The most part of the country is closed for visit, as in North Korea and Libya. Officially out of the capital, foreigners can't move without free permit, special permission, and can check them everywhere, as well as local population of military age. Duration of obtaining the permit, from several hours to several days. Visit of monasteries of the Eritrean Orthodox Tewahedo Church. is carried out according to the admission, the given Patriarchate of the Eritrean Orthodox Tewahedo Church. Visit of archaeological sites of Eritrea is carried out according to the admission, the given National Museum. Permission to visit of the island of Daklak is carried out by territorial authority of the Ministry of Tourism in Maso. Monetary unit Nakfa equals 100 cents. It is introduced into circulation in November 1997. In 1993-1997 the Ethiopian birr was in circulation. Export minus $274 million. 2017. Zinc and copper ores. Up to 89% of the total cost. The cattle is sorghum. The main buyers, China. $158 million. South Korea. $76.4 million. Spain. $19.8 million. And Philippines. $6.97 million. Import minus $308 million. 2017. Machines and the equipment, oil products, food, industrial output. The main suppliers, Egypt. $97 million. China. $42.8 million. Italy. $31.5 million. Sudan. $19 million. And Brazil. $15.4 million. Armed forces consist of ground forces, naval and the air force. In peacetime do about 45,000 people military service. Reserve forces minus card. Since 1998 in Eritrea obligatory lifelong military service is entered. Eritrea, the unique historical region, in the Valley Barca archaeologists found the human settlement dated 1800 BB. The majority of historical sites was destroyed for many years' wars, but some architectural monuments remained. Among them, the Korinthiski columns of the neoclassical Palace of the Governor, Romance porticos of Opera House, Catholic Cathedral, the city mosque which are in the capital. Crafts and art crafts are widespread. Weaving from reed, an olive tree, a grass of polychromy trays, a product from pearls, plates, a product of national crafts from skin of lambs and clay, the kalabasa from wood pumpkin goryanki. A vessel for drink of hot drinks. Painted with genre sketches from national life, tips of arrows, drums, carpets, wattled products, handmade articles from a tree and paper, candlesticks. Capacities for salt and sugar, a frame for photos, boards, a spear, a jebon. The local name of coffee pots. And other household goods, as a rule, of handwork. Jewelry trade is developed. Products from gold and silver are on sale on weight. Products from ivory are on sale in souvenir shops, but international trade in such materials is forbidden. Men and women wear long, wide clothes, practical both in hot and in cool weather. In the central cities the western clothes were adapted for local weather. To men and women recommend not to wear shorts and the fitting clothes outside tourist complexes. Footwear is removed at an entrance to the mosque and sometimes at an entrance to church. The main components: oats, flour, bean, potatoes, corn. Popular dishes: pitch, flat cake from oats, A tea meal dish with addition of spices, porridge from bean, and ambasha, big, round, white loaf. From balyasa fruit, prickly pear cactus fruits, prickly and green outside, sweet and red inside. Eritrean coffee is pounded manually, freed, and is ready in a clay jug. The kitchen is sated with fruit. An agave, dates, bananas, a papaya, a citrus. The Eritrean kitchen in Highlands. The district of Asmara consists generally of spicy dishes and is very similar to the Ethiopian food. The basic is the flat bread made of the test of the fermented grain, from above spicy stewed vegetables with meat. Here at many restaurants in the country. As a rule, the Middle Eastern dish of shanful, haricot stewed, is served for breakfast with a lavash. Thanks to the colonial history, Italian cuisine is a lot of, though isn't too various across all Eritrea. The general drinks in food, swa, a type of homemade beer, and maize, drink received by fermentation of honey. Food usually is followed by a traditional ceremony of coffee which can take several hours. The most widespread drinks is beer, Middle Eastern Iraqi drink. The anisette which is tasting like to the elder. And also vermouths and other alcoholic beverages. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.